Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Yes, hello. Hello. Yes, welcome back. I'd like to talk about my best movies I watched this year. Lots of films, lots of great movies this year. I watched a ton of movies, but these are all the films, my favorite films that I watched on Letterboxd, which you can follow me at. Right now, these films are not going to include Priscilla, Killer of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, They Clone Tyrone, Bottoms, or any superhero films. Just right out of the gate, I wanted to tell you that those aren't getting reviewed because I haven't seen them yet, and I'm waiting too late to watch them. I'm going to watch them all while I'm in Australia, which is where I'm currently at. Maybe I'll do a bonus run for those 5 films that I missed, that I mentioned I didn't watch. Okay, so again, not all of these came out in 2023, and so the first one is Mistress America, which I think I had watched before, but I hadn't recorded it on my Letterboxd. When I first watched it, I think I wanted it to be something else. I wanted it to be like Frances Ha, but it was much more depressing and confusing, and I couldn't understand it at first. But I watched it again this year as an older person, and it made way more sense to me, especially the scenes of desperation, the things of going up in smoke, scrambling wildly, confident, and then just cripplingly sad, things not going out your way, things being way depressing, maybe the heroes you had in your mind kind of falling in real time. My favorite scene I do want to mention is the one where her old friend comes up to her at the bar. The first time I was just kind of like, she's so mean. And the second time I watched it, I just could not stop laughing. It's still my favorite scene, and I can't believe it's not on YouTube. Number 9 was Across the Spider-Verse. I guess I do have a superhero film in here. I really liked the animation style. I think that it was really cool how they expanded the story. The animation style was kind of the best thing about it for me. These cicadas are so loud. Can you hear that? They're so loud. I felt like I just didn't like how they ended. It was too much of a cliffhanger for me to be a full film. Definitely, half of a movie, which was not something I was looking forward to. Okay, number 8 was X. Okay, so X is about, it's like a 70s movie, and they go out to make a porn film out in the woods somewhere. But it's also about cinema, and the director of the porn film wants to make his porn much more artistic, which I felt was really cool. It was really meta, and then it was just really interesting. I don't know how to explain it. It was so artistic and cool, but also very scary. I watched this as part of my October. Whenever October comes around, I just watch every scary movie that any streaming site has, because I think, if you watch one movie, it's scary, but if you watch a bunch of scary movies, it becomes kind of funny. So that X was one of the ones that was one of the big standouts of 2023 for me. Number, what was that? 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, 7. Oh, okay. This was a big film for me in 2023. Talented Mr. Ripley. Huge film. I can't believe I waited till this year to watch it. My friends James and KK were getting married, and I wanted to just sort of feel the vibe of Italy, and I felt like they did a really cool job. It was filmed on location, and they dressed so well, and it portrayed idiot Americans really well. I didn't want to be an idiot American, so I kind of wanted to stay away from that. Very sinister film. I was very impressed with how dark it kind of got, and how there are so many questions that you're left asking, and you're not sure about, and what's real and what's not. And every person cast is pretty iconic. Philip Seymour Hoffman comes in with one of the great entrances of all time.
Federico! Come stai? Bene! Ciao bello! Come stai?
Oh, God, don't you want to fuck every woman you see just once?
Only once.
Absolutely once. Ciao.
Tom Ripley, Freddie Miles.
Tom. I mean, hey, if I'm late, think what her husband's saying.
You look gorgeous.
As always.
So, mangiare.
See, I got your table outside of Fabrizio's. Tommy.
Outstanding.
So super stylish, super sinister. I love it. I might have watched it 5 times this year, I think. Okay, my next film is Decision to Leave, which I watched on Mubi. Mubi is my favorite streaming site. It's not a sponsor. I just love them. Very artistic, very melancholy. Somebody mentioned that when you were watching a film with subtitles, you're pretty locked into the story because you're constantly following it. But I found myself wanting to look at the subtitles, but also wanting to see the imagery because it was so beautiful. It's a film that's sort of searching for hope, whether the characters find it or not. The wanting to have hope is, I think, what the characters are left with at the end. But it's a great film, really great film. This one's very strange to me. Number 5, Something's Gotta Give. That's right. Oldie but a goodie. I could not have liked this movie until I turned 35. It's such a movie about old people, but it's a movie about getting older. I gotta say, it's a very white movie, but that's the perspective of Nancy Meyers. It's gonna be hella white. It also has Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson, and they're just like flirting with each other the whole time. And it's so cool because they're just two stars just letting it rip about being famous. And I don't even know how to explain what the plot is. I guess the plot is that he can't go home because he had a heart attack. They just are flirting at her house the whole movie, and it's awesome. It isn't like cutesy flirting. It's sort of like confident, charismatic, jousting kind of flirting. It's great. I've watched that movie 3 times this year. I love it. It's such a good movie. It's hard to explain. There's this scene where they're walking on the beach and they walk back and they walk forward, and it's riveting. Okay, number 4, we watched a couple of friends. We went out and watched Stop Making Sense, which A24 re-released. We have the Talking Heads vinyl, and I've been really getting into them this year. They re-released this live show, which we went to go watch, and it just kind of blew my mind how great the cinematography was, how impressive the theater of it all is. There's some songs when you listen to the vinyl, you're just kind of like, what? Like, I can dig some of these songs, but there's the song where he's like, I don't remember how it goes, but it's the song that's like, hi, 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 hi. I was like, okay, I don't really fuck with this song. But when you're watching it, it's all part of this big building thing. All the songs make so much more sense to me. That was a great cinematic experience. I think maybe going to see a live show in the theater is probably a good thing because it is about spectacle and it is about the music of it. So I'd recommend that. Australia is so weird with its weather. It's like raining, hailing, sleeting. It's hot. It's windy. But I love it. I mean, it's not winter. It's not winter in New York, which I also love. Okay, so number 3, which is the scariest movie I watched, Silence of the Lambs. The scariest part is the perspective of the women, of Jodie Foster's character. That's the scariest part. She's dealing with this genius psycho, but the scariest people in her world are these men that are just like looming over her at all times. And like, I feel like her perspective, the way they had made it, that the scariest thing is any interaction with a man is scary. Not for like the physical violence, but for the intimidation of it, the power implications. There's some weird sexual stuff that's in there. I thought that was the scariest part. Like there's some stuff that's legitimately like gore. The director was definitely like, oh no, we're gonna make sure that like being somebody that's small, that's out of power, that can be preyed on, that is like their perspective of the entire world is scary, So like the genius psycho ends up treating her with the most respect because he's not trying to fuck her. Anyways, my number 2 movie is Avatar 2. Number 2, Avatar 2. Box office Jim does it again. I feel like I really love the Avatar films for their take on American imperialism, corporations, how they are infused with governments. I find that these Avatar movies, because of the 3D of it all, you just got to tack on another hour and a half just to live in that world. It's like a roller coaster. We don't get these many movies. I'm not interested in sort of cutting them down, but at least an hour is spent in this film hanging out in that world. And yeah, it's awesome. You're swimming around, you're floating around, you are doing it because you're in the perspective there, you're filming it through your perspective, giving you the 3D experience. Well, I probably shouldn't say, okay, spoiler. I'll put a little red spoiler on that. And there's a little bit of Titanic there at the end, you know? So I'm excited for Avatar 3. And my number one movie, there's no surprise here, it's Barbie. I felt like Barbie was a masterclass of cinema. It was comedy, it was drama, it was camp, it was dance, it was social commentary. I mean, if you don't really like that, I don't really care. That's not enough for me to sort of disqualify all of the other things. I feel like Greta's films always do such a great job of capturing the wide expanse of womanhood, which is something that is touched on in my first film that I mentioned, Mistress America. But the use of Barbie as a ruler that exists in the real world was brilliant. The movie begins with the history of this doll, and it presents itself as a mirror to where women's rights were, feminism was, gender and class were, and how it has sort of evolved. I think with this film, she's taken the best director in the world belt and has held it high. There's so many great things in that film, but it really, really honors cinema in a way that a lot of directors can't do. And you have to respect a director that can make something heartfelt, pop, fun, dark, dance, mix it all up, be a mirror, be a window, and then be the biggest freaking movie in the world to an audience that hasn't been catered to, you know? So that's it. Those are my favorite movies of 2023 that on Letterboxd. Let me know what you think. I'm interested in hearing what y'all's favorite films were. If you have anything about some of the films I mentioned, Talented Mr. Ripley, Something's Gotta Give, Decision to Leave, any of those films, feel free to let me know what you think about them, or if you're excited to see them, or if you want to see them. I might be doing something different this year with movie stuff, because I find myself watching a lot more movies, and so I want to sort of incorporate that into the things I begin sharing. I think I'm gonna do when I watch Priscilla, Killer of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, They Clone Tyrone, and Bottoms, I'll do a 5 review of those. Feel free to share, like, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. I might do another video here in Australia, but I'll let you guys know. Bye. Boop.